I'm going to start things off right off the bat with a spoken word poem. It's a letter to my younger self titled, Dear Russell. Dear Russell, you're going to go through some shit in your life. You're going to go through some real tough shit in your life. I know you're just a young boy now, but I want to speak up and warn you of what's about to go down. Pretty soon, you're going to lose all of your friends. Pretty soon, you're going to see life through a different lens. This probably doesn't even make sense, but pretty soon, you're going to go insane and wish you were dead. I know you're really popular now, but pretty soon you're going to be laughed at by other kids who won't know how. You became such a pathetic wimp who's too scared to leave his house, who's too scared to be in a crowd, who thought a whisper was so loud. But listen, you will never be a wimp. You will never be weak. You'll grow up to be stronger than the million ancient gods of Greece. Now, there are going to be nights when you just stay up and cry. There are going to be nights when you contemplate suicide. There are going to be nights when you just want to die, but you will have too much pride to give up on your life. You're going to be admitted to the psych ward 3 times, where you'll see naked people trying to find walls to climb. You're going to be rushed to the ER way too much, but these experiences are the reason you're going to grow up to be so tough. You're going to have your dreams come crashing down just because some pathetic adult didn't want you around. You're going to have your heart break as if it were made of glass and have no friends to fall back on when the love of your life packs up her bags. You're going to wish you were normal, just like everybody else. But I need you to remember that you have a very bright future, even though you're going to go through hell. Russell, I need you to listen to me. You're not different now, but you will be. Your life is going to seem like an utter disaster at times, but within you is the strength you need to succeed at being the best possible human being you can be. So keep your chin up and keep your eyes on the prize, because you'll far surpass everyone's expectations of what we can accomplish in our lives. But it won't be to your or my surprise. Thank you. As the days turned to weeks, however, and the weeks into months, my OCD morphed into a complete monster. I soon began checking all the locks in the house every 10 minutes, washing my hands until they became so dry they would bleed, touching every object in the house an inordinate amount of times. Sometimes one task assigned to me by my OCD would take me up to 30 minutes before I could move on to my next task. Now, if I didn't do what my OCD told me to do, say my OCD would tell me, Russell, you need to touch this podium 8 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I just didn't feel like doing it. And I would say, I'm not going to do it. I would be punished by my OCD with what I call intrusive thoughts. And those would be in the form of, well, Russell, if you don't touch this podium 8 times, your mom's going to drop dead before you. Or, Russell, if you don't touch this podium, you're going to catch cancer and die. Russell, your house is going to go up in flames, and everyone of your family members is going to be in there, and they're going to die, but you're going to be on the outside watching it go up in flames. So that made me a slave to my OCD. I believed that if I continued to obey my OCD and do these rituals, that they would keep me safe and my family safe. And ultimately, it led to the complete obliteration of my well-being, because every single minute of every day, I was obeying orders that my OCD would give me in order to what I thought keep me and my family safe. Now, a while back, I wrote a spoken word poem that details the struggles of battling OCD on a daily basis, and I'm going to recite it for you now. Growing up, I was a mess, yet I gave my very best to address my issues in an attempt to convalesce. But I would become so depressed whenever I was oppressed by my OCD, which was always, that is, unless I was sleeping. Sleep, what sweet rest. I would try to suppress these thoughts which would profess their quest to possess and molest my young, innocent mind, and this distress I would detest. I never had success at trying to repress that which I obsessed. I must confess that any progress I made would only lead to my eventual regress. I was invested to arrest, contest, and aggress, to divest my mind which was infested in excess with such gruesome unrest. I would try my best to repress all the images that made me so very depressed, and I would assess and express my need to have a recess from all that transgressed. Nonetheless, I feel blessed to have fought this pest, but if you didn't guess, I'm still on a relentless quest to best this venomous nemesis. It's like a game of chess. a test to see if I can contest the power that this manifests. And I can attest that my mind will never be at rest until they lay my flesh into the fresh death nest. Thank you. So hopefully that poem gives you just a little bit of insight in how exhausting and grueling it can be to battle this demon that is OCD on a daily basis in the hallway. And the teacher turned to me and my mom and said, "Good job, Russell, go home." And I was like, "Sweet, I like this school. This is a cool school." But I was able to go home that day having accomplished something, which I hadn't accomplished anything for the last, 5, 6, 7 years. And so I went home that day feeling proud of myself. I had forgot what that felt like. I had accomplished something. I was productive. I didn't care, how little the baby step was. I had done something that I was proud of. And so the very next day, I go back, play the same scene over, sobbing all the way there, couldn't go in the classroom again. The teacher came out and she said, "Okay, Russell, 2 steps. And I took 2 steps and she said, "Go home." And I'm really thinking, sweet, I really like this school now. But again, those little accomplishments built my self-confidence up. And I did this for probably two school weeks, so 10 days, 10 school days. And by the 10th day, I took 10 steps in. And taking 10 steps in the classroom, I had arrived at my desk, which was by the door, so I was able to leave, not be with the whole group of students just yet. And when I took that 10th step in on the 10th day, I was feeling so confident because I had really just, had 10 days of success in a school environment, which was such a foreign concept to me. So I took that 10th step. My desk was here. The teacher said just take 10 steps in. She didn't say sit down, but I took the initiative upon myself to sit down because I felt so good about how far I'd come. And 10 steps was a long ways for me. So I sat down in that desk, and I did it for me, I did it for my teacher, and I did it for my mom, because they were supportive of me. I had to, pay it back. It's a two-way street. I can't just expect them to accommodate me without putting any effort into it. So I sat down, and sure, I only sat down for like 10 seconds, but here I was, sitting down at a desk, in a classroom, in a school, and I felt good. And it had been so long since I felt like that in a school environment that, I felt like I was on top of the world. So from this moment on, after those 10 days, I started attending half days. And then after about a month of half days, I was attending full days there at that school. And I stayed there for 2 years. And these 2 years instilled in me the belief that literally and figuratively, baby steps are going to be the theme of my life's accomplishments, and they are to this day. And, as Confucius once said, it does not matter how slowly you go as long as you do not stop. This is my guinea pig. He was my best friend when I was 12, and I owe a shout out to him because when I was 12, I was really struggling, and his name was Gilbert, and Gilbert the guinea pig. He was my best friend from 12 to 16, and I would spend the whole days with him. And he really was my best friend. I mean, I had no other friends. And so it was, he taught me how to be a man. He taught me so many things that, I wouldn't have learned if he wasn't around with me. So it was very tough for me at the age of 16 when he unfortunately passed away. And I did lose my best friend. And just to know that I was, alone again, aside from my mother, but alone in the platonic friend sense, that I was alone. I always shout out to him because I've been thinking about him a lot lately, and I know he's just a guinea pig, and, I know he's just, 4 pounds, and this little guy that squeaks, but he meant the world to me. He means the world to me, and I'm just going to read you one quick poem that I wrote after he passed away. It's called My Best Friend. I'm back after 6 months. That stone had gotten to me more than once, but now it's gone. 2 days back was the whisper of so long. It was supposed to be temporary, but it's almost been 2 years. I dared to not go near it just because of the fear. I was sick of wiping my face with my shirt to get the tears, but as I write this, the tears start to appear. The pain hurts so much, and it will never go away. It's here to stay, but that's okay, because it is the only way. To remember the life we had together, and to this day, I beat myself with every single hit that I can take. I lashed out at you when all you wanted was to play. It was your way of telling me that you only had a few days. Because after that, all you did was try to get away. You hid from me, but I brushed it off, a mistake that turned so grave. I was so stupid to take for granted the life you gave to me. And when I finally asked you what was wrong, it was just too late. This wasn't fate. It was God's way to turn my life into misery. I love you so much I cannot even begin to say all the things that I would do to spend time with you today. You were my best friend, but like I said, God took that away. I try not to think of you. No, I love you too much. When I do, my heart gets crushed. The pain is just too much. I guess it's self-centered. It's my emotional crutch. But this is what I signed up for, the second that we touched. I'll never forget you, Gilbert, for you turned me into a man. I was and always will be your biggest fan. People don't understand how you could be my best friend, my only friend, and in the end, I wished it was pretend. I'll never forget you, Gilbert, and you are in my heart until the end, and the end will just begin when I see you once again. I actually just got back from Peru. However, I learned that the national food of Peru is guinea pig. So it was kind of full circle, right? So I couldn't go like a block without seeing, barbecue guinea pig, full body. So on a stick. So it was full circle though, and I was thinking of Gilbert throughout the whole trip. You just gotta laugh sometimes. But it's not struggle or success. It's not one or the other. You can still struggle and be successful, and that's why I continue to bare my soul, whether I'm having a good time, a bad time, whether I'm succeeding or failing, because it's not one or the other, kids. It's not you're gonna grow up and be totally successful and never struggle, or you're gonna always struggle and never be successful. It's both. And so if we can learn that our struggles don't define us, it's rather how we face our struggles that define us, which will ultimately lead to our success, and that if we don't go chasing success, but rather chase our passions, success will follow us, then we'll all rest easy at night knowing we truly followed our heart. So I am here also to promote awareness and understanding, which is the foundation upon which acceptance will ultimately be built. And to put it simply, my goal in life is to help others. And I'm going to wrap it up with one last spoken word poem. You wake up, wishing to stay in bed. Your head is clouded, you dread the day ahead. Yet you still shed the bedspread, all the while wanting to be dead. But you get up, you fight, you focus on life instead. You move throughout each and every day with a hardened look of apathy. Passers-by not able to see you're on the precipice of self-catastrophe. It hurts to be misunderstood, on top of barely surviving. You're taken at face value instead of the price your heart brings. Yet you somehow cast that all aside in order to simply do the right thing. The epitome of a broken soul, housing a fire that is ever igniting. You let the world know that it is okay to let the pain show, to fail, to cry, to be in woe. Plant the seeds that in turn proceed to grow, a fervid force within you that you would never know, has the power to bring this world together, bonding in sorrow for a better tomorrow. Thank you very much.